Don't wanna talk. You give up so easily. For several years, the voice of Allie Sherlock echoed through the busy streets of Dublin, drawing crowds of curious tourists and locals who suddenly found
Today you woke up and you told me that you wanted to cry. The sky was falling.
Themselves stopping mid-step, captivated by a young performer whose talent seemed far beyond her age. With only a guitar, a microphone,
That was a million years ago.
and a powerful voice, she transformed ordinary sidewalks into impromptu concert stages. Passers-by gathered around, some recording on their phones, others simply listening in amazement as she delivered passionate covers of famous songs. For many people discovering her videos online, it felt like witnessing the birth of a star in real time. Yet as quickly as the internet embraced her, questions eventually began to emerge. What really happened to the young singer whose street performances once seemed to be everywhere online? The early rise of Allie Sherlock was a perfect example of how modern platforms can transform unknown performers into global sensations almost overnight. Videos of her singing acoustic covers spread rapidly across social media, gathering millions of views and introducing her voice to audiences far beyond Ireland. In an age when viral moments can shape entire careers, her performances stood out because they felt authentic and spontaneous. Unlike polished studio productions, these recordings captured a teenager performing live in front of strangers, relying entirely on talent and confidence. That raw honesty resonated with viewers around the world. Street performance, often referred to as busking, has long been part of the cultural identity of Dublin's vibrant city centre. Musicians lined the famous shopping streets, hoping to capture the attention of busy crowds rushing through their daily routines. For Allie Sherlock, those streets became the stage where she developed her confidence as a performer. Day after day, she faced the unpredictable environment of public performance, crowds that sometimes stopped to listen and other times walked past without noticing. Over time, that experience sharpened her stage presence in ways that traditional training rarely can. Behind her journey was also the guidance of her father, who supported her musical ambitions from an early age. Together they navigated the challenges that come with sudden internet fame, balancing the excitement of viral success with the practical realities of building a sustainable career. For many young artists, the transition from online popularity to professional opportunities can be complicated. The music industry often demands consistency, branding, and long-term planning, elements that are difficult to manage while still growing up and discovering one's identity. As her popularity grew, Allie Sherlock's performances began attracting attention from well-known musicians and producers. One particularly memorable moment occurred when she performed alongside Ryan Tedder, the frontman of OneRepublic. The collaboration introduced her to an even wider audience and demonstrated that her talent had caught the attention of established figures in the music world. Moments like these fueled speculation that she might soon transition from street performances to mainstream stardom. Yet the path from viral sensation to long-term artist is rarely straightforward. As the years passed, the pace of her public appearances began to change. Some fans who had grown used to seeing frequent street performances wondered why her presence seemed less constant than before. In reality, this shift reflected the natural evolution of a young musician developing her career beyond busking. Recording music, writing original material, and exploring different creative directions often requires stepping away from the environments that first brought attention. Another factor influencing her journey was the reality of growing up in the public eye. When Allie Sherlock first captured global attention, she was still very young. As she matured, the expectations surrounding her career also changed. Audiences who had first admired the remarkable voice of a teenager began looking for signs of artistic growth and originality. Navigating that transition can be challenging for any performer, especially when millions of viewers feel personally invested in every step of the journey over time. Sherlock continued releasing music online, expanding her presence through recorded covers and original songs. Instead of relying solely on spontaneous street performances, she began exploring more structured musical projects that allowed her voice to develop within a broader artistic identity. For fans who had discovered her through viral busking videos, this shift represented a new chapter rather than a disappearance. The stage had simply grown larger, and the creative process had become more complex. The internet often creates the illusion a performer has vanished when their content becomes less frequent or less viral. In reality, many artists move into quieter periods of development as they focus on improving their craft. Recording studios, songwriting sessions, and rehearsals rarely generate the same instant attention as viral street performances, yet they are often where the most important growth occurs. For Allie Sherlock, these behind-the-scenes moments became essential to shaping the next phase of her musical journey. Another element that shaped public perception was the nature of online fame itself. Viral popularity can create enormous expectations, sometimes leading audiences to believe that every new performance should instantly replicate the magic of the original moment that captured their attention. When those expectations are not met, speculation often begins. But careers in music are rarely defined by a single viral moment. Instead, they evolve gradually through experimentation, collaboration, and perseverance. Despite changes in how frequently she appeared on the streets of Dublin, Sherlock's fan base remained strong. Many of the viewers who first discovered her through early videos continued following her journey online, supporting her as she released new recordings and explored different musical styles. These supporters understood that the story of a young artist does not end with viral fame. It only begins there. Looking back at the phenomenon of Allie Sherlock's rise reveals something important about the relationship between talent and opportunity in the digital age. Her early performances demonstrated how powerful a simple moment of authenticity can be when shared across global platforms. A young singer standing on a street corner with a guitar managed to reach millions of people simply because her voice carried genuine emotion. That authenticity remains one of the most powerful forces in music today. The question of what really happened to Allie Sherlock is less about disappearance and more about transformation. The teenager who once amazed pedestrians in Dublin is gradually evolving into an artist exploring her own sound and creative direction. The viral videos that first introduce her to the world represent only the opening chapter of a much longer story, one that continues to unfold as she grows, experiments, and defines what kind of musician she ultimately wants to become. In many ways, her journey reflects a broad experience of young artists navigating the modern entertainment landscape. Sudden fame can open doors, but sustaining a career requires patience, resilience, and constant growth. Allie Sherlock's story reminds us that behind every viral sensation is a human being learning, adapting, and striving to turn early attention into lasting artistry. And while the crowds that once gathered around her on the streets of Dublin may have thinned as her career evolved, the voice that captivated those audiences still carries the same potential that first stopped people in their tracks. As Allie Sherlock's journey continued, the story that many people thought they understood began revealing new layers. For those who first discovered Allie Sherlock through viral videos filmed on the lively streets of Dublin, it often seemed like her rise to fame happened almost overnight. Crowds gathered around as she sang with confidence far beyond her years, and those moments quickly found their way onto the internet, spreading across social media platforms and introducing her voice to millions of listeners worldwide. But the reality behind those performances was not just a sudden burst of fame. It was a result of dedication, discipline, and countless hours of practice that had taken place long before a camera ever started recording. Street performance had always been a challenging environment for musicians, even for experienced professionals. Unlike concert halls or recording studios, the streets of a busy city offer no guarantees. Some days crowds gather instantly, drawn in by the sound of a powerful voice or familiar melody. Other days pass quietly, with pedestrians rushing past without stopping. For a young performer like Allie Sherlock, this environment became both a testing ground and a classroom. Each performance demanded confidence, resilience, and the ability to connect with people who had never heard her before. Over time, these experiences shaped her ability to command attention and hold a crowd with nothing more than her voice and guitar. The internet played a crucial role in turning those street performances into global moments. Videos recorded by passers-by or uploaded by supporters began circulating online, capturing the raw energy of her busking sessions. In an era where authenticity often resonates more strongly than polished production, viewers were drawn to the spontaneity of the scenes. They saw a young singer standing in the middle of a bustling street, surrounded by strangers, delivering emotional renditions of popular songs with remarkable control and passion. For many viewers, the experience felt refreshingly genuine compared to the highly produced content that dominates modern entertainment. As her popularity grew, the expectations surrounding her career also began to change. What started as a series of spontaneous street performances gradually turned into something larger. Industry professionals began paying attention, recognizing that the young singer possessed not only a strong voice but also the confidence needed to perform live under unpredictable conditions. Opportunities for collaborations and professional recordings began appearing, creating a new chapter in her musical development. One of the most talked-about moments in her journey came when she performed alongside Ryan Tedder, the frontman of OneRepublic. For fans who had watched her grow from a street performer to an internet sensation, the collaboration felt like a confirmation that her talent was being recognized by established figures in the music industry. It was also a sign that her career might soon expand beyond busking and online covers into larger musical projects. Yet with every new opportunity came new challenges. The transition from viral performer to professional recording artist is one of the most difficult paths in the music industry. Viral fame often arrives suddenly, but building a lasting career requires time, patience, and creative development. For Allie Sherlock, this meant stepping into environments very different from the streets where she first gained attention. Recording studios demanded a different kind of discipline, one focused not only on vocal performance but also on songwriting, arrangement, and long-term artistic direction at the same time. Sherlock was navigating another reality that many young artists face, growing up in front of a global audience. When millions of people watch performers' early success, they often feel emotionally invested in every stage of that person's development. Fans who first discovered her as a teenage street singer began watching closely for signs of how her music and identity would evolve as she matured. Balancing personal growth with public expectations can be a delicate process, particularly for someone whose early fame was built on moments of youthful spontaneity. This period of transition sometimes led to speculation among viewers who wondered why her presence on the streets of Dublin appeared less frequent than before. But the answer was less mysterious than many assumed. As artists grow and their careers expand, their time is often divided between rehearsals, studio sessions, songwriting, and planning future projects. These quieter phases rarely attract the same attention as viral performances, yet they are essential to the development of a long-term career. Throughout these changes, Sherlock continued sharing music with her audience, releasing covers and original material online. Her voice, which had first captivated passers-by on a busy street corner, continued evolving as she explored new styles and musical influences. Each release represented another step in the journey from local busker to developing recording artist. Another important aspect of her story is the role of family support. Her father played a key part in managing and guiding her early career, helping ensure that the sudden attention of internet fame did not overwhelm her personal life. For young performers, having a supportive structure can make an enormous difference when navigating the pressures of public recognition. It allows them to focus on creativity while maintaining a sense of balance away from the spotlight. As time moved forward, it became clear that Allie Sherlock's story was not about disappearance or mystery, but about transformation. The young performer who once drew crowds on the streets of Dublin had begun shaping a broader artistic identity. Instead of relying solely on the viral magic of busking videos, she was gradually building a career that could grow and adapt over time. The story also highlights how quickly public attention can shift in the digital era. Viral stars often appear everywhere for a moment and then seem to fade from the spotlight as new sensations capture the internet's curiosity. But for the artists themselves, those moments are rarely the final chapter. They are simply the beginning of a much longer process of growth, experimentation, and discovery. In the end, the real story of Allie Sherlock is not about what happened to her, but about how her journey continues to evolve. The streets of Dublin gave her a stage, the internet gave her a global audience, and her talent opened doors to opportunities that many young musicians only dream about. What began with a guitar, a microphone, and a crowd of curious strangers has grown into a career still unfolding, one shaped by the same passion and authenticity that first made people stop and listen. As Allie Sherlock continued moving through this new phase of her career, the story that once seemed simple began to reveal just how complex the life of a young artist can be. For many fans who first discovered Allie Sherlock through viral busking videos filmed in the streets of Dublin, the magic of those early performances felt almost cinematic. Crowds formed almost instantly, drawn in by the sound of a voice that carried remarkable power and emotion for someone so young. Those moments were often captured by strangers with smartphones and uploaded online, turning everyday street performances into global viral events. But as time went on, the world slowly realized that behind those viral clips was a young musician facing the same pressures and uncertainties that come with growing up while millions of people are watching. Street performance had given Sherlock something that many young singers never experienced so early in their careers: real, unpredictable audiences. Every performance on the streets of Dublin was different. Some days crowds would gather in large numbers, filling the sidewalks with applause and cheers. Other days, the audience might be smaller, made up of a few curious pedestrians who stop for a moment before continuing on their way. Those experiences build a kind of resilience that cannot easily be taught in classrooms or rehearsals. Performing in front of strangers demanded confidence, focus, and the ability to connect emotionally with listeners in a matter of seconds. As her popularity continued spreading across social media, the expectations surrounding her career began to grow. Many viewers who watched her early performances assumed that the next step would be a rapid leap into mainstream stardom. After all, the internet has created countless stories of overnight success, where viral videos lead directly to record deals, world tours, and chart-topping songs. But the reality of the music industry is rarely that simple. For most artists, the transition from viral sensation to established musician is a long and demanding process that involves experimentation, growth, and sometimes even periods of uncertainty. Sherlock's story began reflecting this reality as she explored opportunities beyond street busking. Recording music requires a completely different environment from performing live in public spaces. In the studio, every detail matters: tone, timing, arrangement, and emotional delivery. For a young performer who had built her reputation on spontaneous live performances, adjusting to that environment meant learning new skills and approaching music from a more technical perspective. It was a process that required patience, dedication, and the willingness to grow as an artist. One of the moments that reinforced the seriousness of her talent came when she performed with Ryan Tedder from OneRepublic. The collaboration demonstrated that her voice had captured the attention of respected figures within the industry. For fans watching online, it was an exciting sign that the young street performer from Dublin was stepping into a much larger musical world. Yet even with such opportunities, the path forward remained filled with decisions about what direction her music should take. Another important factor shaping her journey was the reality of adolescence and personal growth. When Sherlock first appeared in viral videos, she was still a teenager discovering not only her musical identity but also her place in the world. As she matured, her interests, influences, and artistic goals naturally evolved. This process sometimes meant stepping away from the constant stream of street performances that had initially brought her fame. Instead, she focused on developing her voice, experimenting with different musical styles, and releasing recordings that reflected a more mature perspective. For some viewers who had grown used to seeing frequent videos of her busking in Dublin, the change sparked curiosity and speculation. The internet often interprets quieter periods in an artist's career's disappearance or decline, when in reality those moments are often when the most important growth is happening behind the scenes. Rehearsals, songwriting sessions, and studio work rarely create viral headlines, yet they are the foundation of lasting musical careers. Throughout these transitions, Sherlock continued maintaining a presence online, sharing performances and music with the audience that had supported her from the beginning. Her fan base remained loyal, following her progress and celebrating each new release. Many fans appreciated seeing how her voice and style evolved over time, recognizing that the young street performer they first admired was gradually becoming a more experienced and confident artist. The story also highlights how dramatically the music industry has changed in the digital era. In previous generations, artists often spent years developing their craft before being introduced to a national or global audience. Today, platforms like YouTube and social media can place young performers directly in front of millions of viewers almost instantly. While this exposure creates incredible opportunities, it also means that artists must grow and evolve while under constant public observation. For Sherlock, this meant learning how to balance creativity with the expectations of a global audience. Fans who had fallen in love with the raw authenticity of her street performances sometimes hope to see that same atmosphere preserved forever. But artists, like all people, evolve over time. What begins as a spontaneous moment on a city street can eventually transform into a much broader artistic journey that includes songwriting, studio recording, and collaborations with other musicians. In many ways, the real story of what happened to Allie Sherlock is not about disappearance at all. Instead, it is about transformation. The teenager who once stood on a busy street corner with a guitar and microphone has continued developing into a musician, exploring new possibilities. Her journey reflects a reality faced by many young artists who rise to fame in the digital age. Viral attention can open the door, but building a lasting career requires patience, learning, and the courage to grow beyond the moment that first captured the world's attention. And so the question that once echoed through comment sections and online forums, what really happened to Allie Sherlock, has a far more nuanced answer than many people expected. She did not vanish, nor did the talent that first amazed crowds in Dublin fade away. Instead, the story simply moved forward, evolving quietly behind the scenes as a young artist continued discovering who she wanted to become in a world that first noticed her through the simple, powerful sound of a voice rising above the noise of a city street that as time continued to move forward. The story surrounding Allie Sherlock slowly began to shift from the excitement of viral fame to a deeper conversation about what it truly means to grow as an artist in the modern digital world. When audiences first discovered her performing on the busy sidewalks of Dublin, the moment felt spontaneous and magical. A young girl with a guitar stood among the noise of a city and delivered powerful performances that could silence entire crowds.